Hello everybody, I'm Emma Fincham, fostering consultant with CoramBAAF, and I'm here today talking with Paul Calder and Eva A Sprecher about their brand new children's book, Where Did My Dinosaur Go? This is a wonderful children's picture book. It's about moving to live somewhere new, living with new people, learning to trust new people. And it's ideal for children in foster care or kinship care or private fostering. It's about two meerkats called Mia and Kit that moved to live with their foster carer, Becky. Although, as we've said, it could be a different setting for a child or young person. It doesn't have to be foster care because it's deliberately not referenced in the book. And the book has got some really important messages for foster carers, for social workers, for children and young people about what that might be like, what it's like moving to a new family. So I'd like to hand over to you two now to introduce yourselves. So Paul, if you want to go first.
Hi, my name's Paul Calder. I've been a foster carer for just over 11 years now.
And I'm Eva A Sprecher. I'm a research fellow at University College London, and my research is all about mental health of care experienced young people, and particularly how relationships play into that.
Thank you, Eva. So before we get into the questions, I'm especially excited to be doing this interview with you both now because we're coming up towards Foster Care Fortnight. The theme for this year is Fostering Moments. Foster Care Fortnight is a campaign that's run by the Fostering Network, and Fostering Moments obviously can cover all sorts of things, highlights in the wonderful world of fostering. So we'll get on to some of those highlights as we go through. But for now, if we can just get started and just think about the book, I'd like to ask you both a few questions, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So in your experience, what would you say are some of the things that children will feel when they're moving into a new foster family, a new fostering household?
For me personally, they will be really anxious. Some of them aren't, because they what we call bounce, unfortunately, around the system. And we talk about those young people, they have no trust in anything whatsoever. So they are hard work for you to build that trust and build some rapport with that young person or people. And with the new carers or new children that have come directly into foster care, they are really scared. They might have come from a really bad background. That's the background that they know. They don't know who you are, what you are, and so they'll be really anxious as well. So when foster carers are standing there waiting for the doorbell to ring to open the door, the carers have to realise that yes, we are anxious, we're worried, but it's our house. We already know what's in our house. These young people coming in have no idea, and so you need to make sure that you try to be welcoming. You don't lay down all the rules and everything like that, but you explain to them some of the things that we do as a household, not as a rule, as a household. Things like, and I learned this one on my first night, that the landing light will be on, so there will be a little light on. Please, if you need the toilet, you just go to the toilet, because some young people will just wee in their rooms, and it's not their fault. I haven't communicated as a foster carer. We haven't communicated to these young people, and so yes, please, you will be anxious, you will be worried, but please think about the young people that are coming into your home, that you're welcoming in, that you want here, and you have to start from day one of showing them how it's going to be and how wonderful experience it's going to be. So.
Eva, I wonder if you would tell us a little bit about the part of the book, which is a resource sheet, or you might describe it slightly differently, that's really helpful for foster carers, especially like Paul just said, for perhaps new foster carers?
Yeah, so what you'll find within the book is firstly, there's the lovely children's book, which is designed for carers and young people to read together. But we also have a booklet which breaks down basically all the thinking behind the book. So the research that informed it also goes page by page and has different things which foster carers might want to think about, and also different questions or activities they might want to go through with their young people. And building on what Paul just said, it kind of explores some of the things which young people might find really, really new in their household, It might be things which you think are just completely everyday, like the food you eat, the nightlight on in the hall, or what time you go to bed, or brushing your teeth and when you put on your shoes and stuff like that. But they're having to really learn everything from scratch, on top of probably being really scared and having had a really hard few days in the run up to coming to live with you, and all the other changes. But also you have to look after yourself as a carer, because you're learning a whole new person too. So everyone's going to be, on edge. But what exactly might be the most new will be different.
Thank you. And the book does that beautifully. It depicts that feeling as the meerkats, as Mia and Kit arrive at the house, and it's strange and it's weird and it's different and it's unusual, and just you get that feeling. It's kind of, it comes off the pages as soon as you start reading the book. It's done brilliantly. I love it. So just thinking about how the kind of the idea behind the book and what sort of started it. So it came on the back of research, is that right? Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
So Paul and I have worked together on research for a long time now. We were working out for 6 years. We've known each other through research. And the direction of the research sort of started off trying to understand what those relationships are like between young people and their foster carers. And got more and more interested in the topic of trust. And in the booklet, which is included with the book, there's a lot more detail about that research. And I think we're talking about it in another one of these interviews, so there'll be more in there. But then we started realizing we're having all these really great discussions about these relationships and about trust. But that's only a small number of us talking about that. And how do we get those conversations out to a larger number of foster carers and to young people, including quite young children in care? How do we get them to go on this learning journey with us and have their own learning journey? So that's where we kind of got to. I don't know.
No, and that's I personally found that research and helping out it's therapeutic, if I'm to be honest with you, because it starts to make you think of what you do daily and how that actually impacts on the young person and also impacts on you as a person. And I can give you a couple of examples now.
Yeah.
So one of my young people, he was on an away day for young people in care. He was the youngest. He was meant to be from 16 to 18. He was 14 at the time. I took him along, made sure he was all right, handed him over to the instructors because it was an outward bounds day. Left, was about an hour and a half-ish away. I get a phone call to say that my young person is really upset because he's being picked on by the younger guys, or the older guys, I mean. And so I drove all the way back. I then had a chat with my young guy. I encouraged him to stay because he wanted to come away. I wanted to encourage him to stay and enjoy the day, enjoy the experience, because we don't get to have these experiences very often, and he certainly hadn't had these experiences. So after that, I made sure that I told him, mate, I'm sitting in the car park. You can see the car. You can see me. I will be here if you need me. And it's important for him to know, it was 6 hours later, I was still sitting in the car, but it's important for him to have that security and know that someone actually cared about him and wanted him to have a great, great day. And those moments are what I do this role for, and I'm hoping other people that were thinking about fostering will have those moments, because they're massive. They are a massive, massive part of what we do. Yes, there are not very good days as well, I'm not going to lie, but those days are the ones that you hold on to. And he will never forget that day. He will never forget, and I certainly will never forget that day.
It's a long day sat in the car.
But no.
But for him, it was crucial because he knew you were there, and he could then engage, couldn't he? He could then relax.
Yeah, and enjoy what he was doing. So yeah, it was a massive, and then you build on that. You build on those trust moments. I was talking about earlier. Every single day, I text my young people just to say, thinking of your mate or thinking of you, have a great day. Remember, make sure you've got that homework done, whatever it is, but it's a short, sweet, to the point, whatever the message is, because it's never the same message, but it's important. They know that, and they know someone's thinking of them. And that's really important from their background to now having someone that actually they can see cares about them, wants to know about them. And that's really important to them. They might never say it. Some of my guys don't, but that's not the point. The point is they know that I'm there.
And you're constantly there, aren't you? Every
Doesn't
single
change.
day.
Doesn't change every day.
Yeah. Whatever's gone on, whatever's
Doesn't-
happened the evening before or
Yeah.
in the morning, trying to get out the door.
It's a new day.
Yeah.
We've got the eraser. We've rubbed out yesterday. We might learn from yesterday if it's not gone quite right, but we start again. It's a new, fresh day, new, fresh start. We don't bring stuff into the next day. And that's what, our saying at home, including my wife, is we try to catch the young people doing things right. Because you can go into the other way of probably where they've come from, Tom, it's always they're blamed, they're this, they're that, they're that. We catch our young people doing it right.
I like that. Catching young people doing it right. And of course it applies to children as well.
Absolutely.
It? Fantastic. Thank you. So what was it like for both of you being involved in the project?
You want to go first?
Well, it's very easy for me to talk about what it was like because it was just one of the highlights of my experience of being a researcher. We spent a lot of time as researchers talking about things with other researchers and talking our own special language, which no one can understand. Paul knows some of the words from our language. And it was just really special to be able to sit down with Paul and with the rest of the group. It's just a fantastic group and really think through what are the key messages that we know from our research and what do we want people to be able to start talking about? I mean, even some of the things we've just spoken about there, like that consistency, that like being there, just over and over being there again, starting a fresh day, and the fact that things don't always go in a straight line. It's not like, oh, day one, the trust is here, day two, it's here, like a little step ladder, like goes up and down and things get broken, get fixed, which is what the book's all about. But just talking about that all together and turning it into a story which really meant something, and everyone in the room, you could tell when we got it right because everyone felt like, yeah, that's right. It was just, I learned so much. I felt like it wasn't that the research was over, we were still learning every step of the way, and I think we'll still continue to learn as people read the book and let us know their experiences. So I mean, it was just fantastic. I'll do it all again tomorrow if I could, then maybe I will.
For me personally, it was an honour to be part of it. I'll be honest, it was an honour. When I was asked to do it by your good self, it was, I jumped at the chance. The actual idea, if I may, we fleshed out quite a lot of ideas, and it took quite a long time. And then I told the story of my first young person when he came to me. He had this really smelly, horrible looking, dirty blanket, and it was. And I made the mistake, and it was a massive mistake. And I get it, I understand it, and now it is actually taught, I believe. But I washed it. And his world ended. His world crushed around him, and that was down to me trying to be nice.
Trying to do the right thing.
Trying to do the right thing, but it so wasn't. And that's where the idea came from, and then that's where
Becky
came from, and yeah, so it was. So yeah, I was playing Becky in the book. For me, I would have liked to have learned that right at the beginning, and I would love to have read the book before, because the book isn't just only for young people; it's for adults alike to read and take in the leaflet the other messages that are behind the pictures, behind some of the words for the children. And I think, if foster carers could read the book and then talk it with their social worker, that would be good as well, because there are little hidden things in there that the children won't understand. And but adults will with the help of the leaflet. And I think that leaflet is key to me, to be fair.
Yeah, I think the book and the leaflet combined for foster carers and also for supervising social workers and other people working in schools and so on. I think it's some of those top tips, isn't it? Yeah. That you learn when you're a foster carer, but you don't know until you start doing it. It's hard to imagine being a child coming into a home with absolutely no understanding of what that's going to look like, smell like, feel like, until you start fostering, right? So you've given us some lovely examples already of what it's like being a foster carer. Just tell us a little bit more about your fostering journey.
Yes, I said I've been doing it for 11 years. It's not a job, it's a vocation. It's the best thing that I've done. Is it tough? Yes, it is. It's very tough. But you can either make it, and at the beginning I made it tougher than it needed to be, because you don't know what you don't know. And then me being me, I'm only speaking for me, thinking, well, I know this is easy, I can get through this. You should talk to people. If you've got a mentor, you should talk to them. It's really important that you use their experiences. But the one person that you really need to talk to and be honest with is your social worker, your social worker, and build up that professional, and I will use the word professional, bond together to help the network around your young person or your child to make life as easy for them, and then being a bit selfish makes it easier for you. And why wouldn't you want to do that? But at the beginning, I found it. Oh, I can do this. I know that. Oh, no, it must be easy. Very quick example: toothpaste. So my young man with toothpaste, he was squeezing the toothpaste out every morning, all of it. It's like, as you do with your normal child, don't do that. Please don't do that. No, stop that. That's a bit silly, isn't it? Yeah. It's next day, all out, all gone. So you have to understand, I didn't at the time, that actually it's a sensory thing for him, major sensory. So we got him some squidgy toys. Okay, we took the toothpaste away, and then I put the toothpaste on his toothbrush. But those things, instead of telling him off, and it's like, well, you're going nowhere. You're pushing against a brick wall. It's not happening. So you have to think differently. In fostering, every day is different. No matter if you've had your child 4 days, 1 day, or 12 years, they're all different. Every day is a learning curve, and I would say that as well. Every day is a learning curve. And one of my young people, he's got a few little things going on: ADHD, autism, post-traumatic stress disorder. It took him nearly 18 months, I'm going to say 18 months, to put his own trousers on. And I promise you, the day he put his trousers on was like winning the lottery. For me personally, because you try. Every day we were doing, it was consistent, we were consistent. Praise when he got half a leg on, or not quite got there, or he threw his trousers over there when they should be. But you're consistent and you're trying to praise them, you're trying to catch them doing stuff right. Honestly, the day he put his own trousers on was just phenomenal. And those are the days where new carers, old carers should embrace, pat themselves on the back, and enjoy those moments. They're fostering moments for me. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does, definitely. So the book, as you've both spoken about, will definitely encourage foster carers to kind of think about what it's like arriving in a new family environment, a new setting. So I suppose I'm just wondering if either of you have got any examples from the work that you've been doing on how that is, either kind of gems or top tips from foster carers, or things where foster carers kind of went, we didn't quite get it right, but we've learned, and this is how we would do it next time, or how we have done it since then. Just wondered if you had any.
I think something which comes to mind is like quite a big theme, and it's reflected in the book as well. So Becky at one point makes, I think it's spaghetti bolognese with peas, and me and Kit aren't having any of that. What are these peas doing in here? And I think things like food can be such a big thing, because if you've had a long day, you've moved home, if you imagine that you're moving yourself, the thing which you want to do is sit down, have a comfort meal. And for young people, they might be sitting down eating food they've possibly never had before. They might be missing the food of their own culture or their own like family of origin. And the thing which is really going to make them feel at home and comforted just might not be there. And sometimes in people moving, there's not much notice, so there's not time for foster carers to think through all of that. But sometimes there is a chance for those conversations about what might they like on their first day, or on those first days. And maybe that's a sort of conversation, because young people have spoken to me over the years about how when foster carers go that extra mile and do find that food which is going to make them feel comforted, that can be such a big thing, that it shows respect for them, care, maybe respect for their culture and their community and that sort of connection. But also when that food isn't at any point provided, it can make young people feel like quite like not that sense of belonging, but also it affects you if you don't feel comfortable to eat, or you don't feel able to eat that much. It's a bit of a cycle, because we all know how we feel if we sort of skip dinner if we're not feeling our best. So it sort of sets everyone up for success to think about those things, even if it seems like a minor thing, like, oh, it'll be fine to have pasta, but just working it out, and having that ongoing conversation with young people, maybe cooking together. So that's just one area, but every young person's different, and the things which matter to them are going to be different, like what's in their room and what their bedtime is. It's going to be different for everyone, but that's a big thing, food. Thank you.
I just think on going on to the food thing, we, being a bit of a wobby, we try to have fun. So when the young person does come to our house, or a new young person or a child, we try to cook together if they want to. Very quick story. So a young person wanted some scrambled eggs. So yeah, we can do scrambled eggs. So in the kitchen, ready to wash our hands and all that. Cracks the first egg, open it, little bit of shell. So won't have that. Chuck that away. Start again. Anyway, kept doing it every time. Got to the 12th egg, a box of 12. All right. No egg in it. Whisk it up. About to put it in and scramble it and get it ready for a bit of toast. He went to me, I like toast. It's like, he said, yeah, but I don't want the egg without the toast. But he can't understand that he's already said he doesn't like toast. But what he meant was he doesn't like bread. So he doesn't mind it toasted, and you have to be able to unpick the conversation and the words that your young person is saying to be able to, you have to be a little bit of a detective, to be honest with you, because that one could have easily gone in the bin and we would, well, what we're going to do now, and I might have had a meltdown. But he didn't mean what he was saying. And you have to unpick that. And that's another thing, another little tip, is try to unpick what the young person is not just saying, but in their actions of what they are doing. There is a reason behind what they are doing. There is always a reason. And sometimes you won't find it. And sometimes you'll go, oh, he's done that now twice or three times, or she's done that, and we've always done that. And then you can work, because they might not be able to verbalise what they're telling you. They can talk, but they can't verbalise their emotion that is making them do whatever they do. So that's just another tip.
So like a detective team together, like both trying to work it out. Because they're working out at the same time as you.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I like that detective team analogy, and also I like the way you've just really clearly described the need for patience.
Oh yes.
And if we're honest, that can run out for anybody, right? And so there is a kind of like, how do you do that? Do you tag team? Do you?
Yeah, sometimes my wife works full time, so I'm the main carer. But sometimes you do, and this is really healthy, you do need your own little bit of space. My cockapoo little dog Lulu, we have to take her out for lots of walks, and she has too many walks probably, because come on Lulu, we're going out for a walk. And I normally take a couple of young people with me as well, because they might have, the house might have been intense because someone else has had a little bit of a meltdown. We've calmed it all down, but we need a little bit of breathing space. So that happens. But reflecting on how it's made you feel, and I did learn it from the course that we first met on, and I learned a lot from that course. I would highly recommend it to any foster carers or reflective fostering. It talks about your emotional thermometer, where you are on that thermometer. And it's really important that you obviously try and stay in the cool part and not up in the red, because you will be affecting the other young people by your actions and your emotions. And it's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, and it's emotionally draining. Yes, it is. But it's trying to make sure, like I already said, keeping the young child in mind. And it's about making sure that you are mentally okay in those moments, because we all have those moments. All of us have those moments. But it's about how you and bring yourself down to make sure that your young person, child, that you have been blessed to look after, is in the best position that they can be in. And by your actions, you can help them do that. You regulating yourself will help regulate them.
Great advice. Thank you for that. I think we've covered this. I think we've covered the kind of some of the things that you would think about as a foster carer to help with the transition for a child or a young person. I'm just wondering if there are any other gems that are springing to mind for either of you.
It's important. So some of my young people go on to respite, and again, I think you do need, especially when they're young, a transitional object. So my especially one of my young guys, he gets my watch. I give him my watch. Now, it's not this watch, it's another watch. It doesn't matter to him, it's mine. And I am giving him the authority to look after my watch. So I'm giving him the, come on mate, you've got to look after that, but really keep it safe. I know he sleeps with it under his pillow. And that's great. And he knows that he's going to give it back to me when I come back and pick him up on a Sunday. So he knows that I love that watch. I love him, but at the beginning it was like, he knows that that's my watch. And so he knows that watch is coming back to me. So he's coming back to me, and I love both of them. But hopefully that's answered your question.
Yeah, it's a great example.
Yeah.
I love that example because, maybe at first you can't trust that you love him, even though you do, exactly. But you can trust that you love the watch easily.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think not one thing, but a sort of pattern of things which we have been speaking about in this project when we've been talking about trust in particular, is that it can be really hard for foster carers at first to not feel trusted, because they think, I'm a nice person, like I'm here, I'm trying to do my best, I've been to all the courses, I'm really making an effort, and I've
chose to be here.
Yeah, it's totally be here. I've got this love in my heart, like why don't you trust me? And that can be really painful, but understanding that young people might not be trusting in the way we expect because that's what they've done maybe to survive, like not trusting may have helped them get through some really dangerous or difficult times, or maybe trusting anyone who comes along might have helped them get through because they've got a little bit of care from lots of different people, even if it's not always the safe adults. And so understanding that, unlearning those survival techniques and working out who should I trust and who should I maybe be a bit more cautious of, and how that trust looks can be a really long process, like learning how to read or how to write. Like it takes a really long time, and as we said, it's not always a straight line, and things can go wrong and we can mess up, but understanding where that's coming from. It's not that you as a foster carer have done something horrible, but you sometimes make to feel like you have, but understanding where that's coming from, I think can be helpful.
I totally agree with that. The other thing I would say on that is actually when things don't go quite right, it's really important. It doesn't matter how old the young person is or the child is, if you can speak at their level as best you can, to say it's okay. Mistakes happen, it's okay. What we've got to do is build that, and we use the word trust. We build that trust back up. Where we were, we can get back there, because some of these young people, children, will go completely into doom and gloom. It's all over, and the I'm not worthy, I'm worthless all comes out. And what you don't want is that. You want to say, it's okay, we can rebuild this. And then they start to understand over time that actually you can repair this, you can get better, and you can, learn to trust. And it's both ways. And then try to learn from the adults who is trustworthy. And listen, as adults, we can all say we get it wrong sometimes when we trust people, let's be honest. But it's about learning from those experiences. And if I can help my young people, and we all make mistakes, if they make the mistake, but they have that safety net of me to pull them up and pick them up and go, come on, dust yourself down, let's go again, let's do this, and build it back up. Because if you build it back up, the foundation is stronger already. And then, maybe when you fall down again, you're not down right down the bottom, you're halfway. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. But that's the way that I try with my young people, the years that I've done.
It definitely makes sense. Both of the things you both said. Just thinking about because when those things happen, you can then refer back to them, can't you? And I've heard that from lots of foster carers. You remember that time when it all went a bit wrong?
Yeah.
But look what happened. We moved on, we got through it, and it's that, isn't it? Being able to kind of reference back, and you were talking about that earlier. So I think, great examples. So this year's theme, as we talked about at the beginning, is fostering moments. As part of Foster Care Fortnight, you've both talked about some absolutely wonderful fostering moments. I'm just thinking for some new foster carers that, or perhaps people thinking about fostering, whether it's kind of right for them and their family at this stage. I'm just wondering about, it might not be a fostering moment as such, but kind of any advice or tips. I suppose where I'm coming from is some of the things that you were both speaking about, they're not things that you can kind of be taught or that you can get from training. It's doing the doing, isn't it? And so I suppose that's where I'm coming from. Would you have any advice or suggestions for people that are brand new to fostering, just been approved, waiting to be matched with a child or young person, or thinking about becoming a foster carer?
I have this, I
Please.
So for me, from my experience, we made sure, a long time ago, 11 years ago, my daughter was 9. It is so important, if you've got your own children, that you involve them in the process. You involve them in it, and you make sure it's okay for them, because it will not work. I promise you, it will not work if your son, daughter, whoever is not on board with you. They don't understand it. Of course they don't. As adults, we're learning, and it's like new to us. But you try to explain it as best you possibly can to make sure they've got as much information and are happy to share. Mum, dad, mum, whichever. They have to be happy with that. The way that we did it, we sat down with my daughter, we talked her through it, but we made sure she had her safe space. Now, her safe space was her bedroom. So we did make sure that she had a TV in there, and it had Amazon, it wasn't Amazon, we had Sky, and she had a music station. So if anything did happen, or that she could just walk away and she could go into her room and leave it to mum and dad, or mainly dad, to sort out whatever the issues was, and she's nice and safe. At the same time, this is a very big tip, I would highly recommend it. Have a safe word for your son, daughter, because they might hear something that other young people have said in the house, or children have said in the house, or divulged in the house, and our safe word, I'll let everybody know because it's been changed now, at the time was donuts. So if my daughter ever said, "Oh, Dad, I really fancy a donut," "Oh, Dad, you're such a donut," I knew she needed to speak to me quite quickly. And it was really important that I spoke to her as quick as I possibly could in a private area, because she has something to tell me. Another tip for you, you're going to have to train people, you're going to have to train your son or daughter to do this, because sometimes she used it as, "Oh yeah, can I have a packet of crisps?" That's not what that's all for. So I'm just warning you. But it's important that you do have a safe word for because you want them to feel really involved, and that word does have to change, because we're on different words now and we still use it, and she's 20 now, but it's important that happens. So yeah, they're the real tips. And obviously I've already talked about making sure that when the young person comes to you, they're going to be mega anxious. You think you're anxious, you see it from their eyes, and just think on that, and use, and I will use the word use your mentor, who's an experienced foster carer, and also your social worker. Please. Don't be a wally like me and think I knew everything day one, because I didn't. There we go.
That's great, thank you. And beautifully kind of brings it back to the book, which does that. Shows the experience of, demonstrates the experience of the meerkats, the children arriving, and a foster carer, that you get the experience that Becky has had this experience a few times before. She's got this. She knows that there's going to be some bumps. she withstands some of the stuff being thrown at her. She withstands the bedroom being a little bit trashed by the meerkats, but she's constant, and she carries on providing that secure, stable, loving environment. And when they need her, when the meerkats need her, she's there. She's there in a jiffy, isn't she? Really, really speedily, with all the skills that they need right at the right moment. And that's, it's beautifully depicted in the book. So thank you both for this interview. It's been absolutely a complete pleasure speaking to you both, and very excited about the launch of this book and it being available to people to get hold of their copies. And please watch out for more interviews about the book. As Eva said, there's going to be some more interviews about Where Did My Dinosaur Go coming up soon. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.